On my wedding day, my family never showed up. Worried, I called my mom. She laughed. Oh, was that today? A trip sounded more fun. I heard my sister laughing. I said nothing and posted a photo on Facebook, me in my wedding dress with special guests. Hours later, my parents saw it and rushed to the venue pale-faced. On my wedding day, my family never showed up. I called my mom and she laughed. Oh, was that today? A trip sounds way more fun. I even heard my sister laughing. I said nothing and later posted a photo on Facebook, me in my wedding dress with a few special guests. Hours later, my parents arrived at the venue, pale-faced and frantic. That morning in Greenwich had dawned earlier than usual. Soft April sunlight painted the cherry blossoms in St. Mary's Church garden a delicate pink. Inside that historic church, Emma Wilson was about to make the most important vow of her life. As a pediatrician at the City Children's Hospital, Emma was known for the quiet strength behind her gentle smile. Her commitment to keeping promises and her sincere nature had earned her the deep trust of her colleagues. On her days off, nothing brought her more joy than capturing the smiles of hospitalized kids with her camera. And her $150,000 annual income spoke to her capabilities. Emma's fiancé, David Chun, worked as a branch manager at a regional IT firm. Raised by hardworking Chinese immigrant parents, he valued family above everything. And despite earning $200,000 a year, his humble nature won him respect. The couple had met at a hospital charity event, and from the start, their bond had been undeniable. The Wilson family name was legendary in Greenwich's social circles. There wasn't a soul who hadn't heard of them. Emma's father, Robert Wilson, served as the president of Wilson Properties, a real estate management company with annual sales of $20 million. Lately, he had become more obsessed with golf and social media than with managing the business. Her mother, Margaret, once a devoted homemaker, had transformed into a full-time Instagrammer with 20,000 followers, her thrice-weekly spa treatments and obsession with likes causing Emma constant worry. Then there was her sister Ashley, who landed a job as financial director at their father's company, thanks mostly to nepotism, and spent more time managing her online image, boasting 100,000 followers, than performing her actual duties. And finally, Jennifer Anderson, the dignified owner of the region's largest shopping complex, Anderson Mall, was not only Wilson Properties' top client, but also a revered local philanthropist. With $500 million in assets and a reputation for grace, she had watched Emma grow up as a family friend. 50 guests had been invited from the father's side, including grandparents, local dignitaries, with 5 sets of aunts and uncles and 8 cousins representing old family traditions. From the mother's side, 3 sets of more liberal-minded aunts and uncles and 6 cousins were expected. In addition, prominent figures, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, several doctors from the hospital, business executives, childhood friends, and even the church pastor and his wife, completed the guest list. The $100,000 wedding budget, formal attire requirement, and every detail had been meticulously planned for this special day. In the bridal room of St. Mary's Church, Emma sat quietly before a large mirror in her pure white gown. Maria, the professional makeup artist, was applying the final touches, while Linda, a longtime friend, gently adjusted Emma's lace veil. Outside, the spring sun made the cherry blossoms dance in the gentle breeze. Yet, there was still no sign of my family, Linda remarked. Margaret should have been here by now. She promised to come early for some great social media photos, but there's been no word. Emma anxiously stared at her smartphone. No calls, no texts, and even Ashley's Instagram, usually updated every half hour, had been silent since last night. Then Emma's phone rang. The screen flashed Mom. Every eye in the room turned toward her as the air seemed to freeze. Mom, are you almost at the church? She asked. What came through was an unexpectedly cheerful voice layered with the sounds of ocean waves and lively music. Oh, Emma, I'm in Hawaii right now, the voice announced. For a moment it felt like a cruel joke. Today was my wedding day. In the background, my sister's mocking laughter could be heard. This beach chair is amazing, came another voice followed by. This angle is perfect for Instagram. I'll send you pictures later. This resort is so lovely. My followers are going to love it. The call ended abruptly, and Emma's phone slipped from her hand, thudding dully on the carpet. Everyone in the bridal suite stood frozen, watching in disbelief as the reality of the moment sank in. Then a gentle knock sounded at the door, 3 short taps, as if fate itself had come calling. When Emma opened the door, standing there with dignity and determination was Jennifer Anderson, holding an iPad. Mrs. Anderson? Emma asked, her voice trembling not from fear but from anticipation. Jennifer's eyes were steady as she said, I saw your family's posts on social media. The iPad displayed photos of the Wilson family laughing on a Hawaiian beach, images that contrasted sharply with the pain of today. I've known you for over 20 years, Emma, she continued, her voice a blend of quiet anger and deep affection. Today, let me be the family you need. Tears welled in Emma's eyes, not of sorrow but of relief and warmth. I'm about to post something, Jennifer declared firmly. You mean on their precious social media? Emma asked softly. But first, let's take a beautiful photo together, Jennifer replied, taking Emma's hand. The comforting warmth of her touch made up for years of lost family love. Together, they walked to the center of the church and stood before the colorful stained glass windows. The morning sun streamed through, casting rainbow patterns that felt like a blessing from heaven. "Let's create new bonds today," Jennifer suggested. At that moment, the church bells rang out, heralding a fresh start. A sound that echoed throughout Greenwich, as if declaring that this day would be truly special. One by one, guests began arriving at St. Mary's Church. The spring light illuminated the church spire, and stained glass cast vibrant patterns on the floor. First came my paternal grandfather, his dignified presence marked by deep wrinkles and a neatly trimmed white beard as he entered with measured steps. Next, my maternal aunt arrived, her face even paler than mine as she silently took Emma's hand and wept, her quiet sorrow speaking volumes about deep family ties. Soon, other relatives appeared, each reacting with shock and mounting anger as they learned what had happened. Hospital colleagues and doctors, usually so composed even in the toughest situations, couldn't hide their fury, and longtime business partners and childhood friends gathered in silence, their embrace conveying more than words ever could. Outside, in the fully bloomed church garden, cherry blossoms scattered their petals, creating a scene so beautiful it almost felt unreal. As the ceremony time approached, the atmosphere inside the old church grew solemn. The pastor stepped forward with gentle authority and said, "Today's wedding will be pleasing in God's eyes because you are surrounded by true love. Sometimes life tests us, but beyond those trials a deeper love awaits." Emma and David stood together in the center of the chapel, bathed in sunlight streaming through the stained glass, a divine glow that enveloped them like a blessing. David held Emma's hand with a strength that was both firm and gentle, while every guest watched with hearts full of love and determination. And so as I stood there on what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, a new beginning was unfolding, a beginning built not on the betrayal of a family that chose appearances over true connection, but on the promise of genuine love, understanding, and new bonds forged in the light of a hopeful new day. That hand spoke more eloquently than words. Emma's voice, filled with deep affection, broke the silence as the surrounding air grew still. "I vow before you now, even though we may not be bound by blood, we will become a new family. Together with everyone gathered here, we will nurture eternal bonds and weave a new family story." Shining tears of happiness began to fall from Emma's eyes, leaving small glittering stains on her wedding dress as proof of a fresh hope. After the ceremony, guests gathered at the reception venue, a place where unity transcended blood ties. Around the tables, expressions that once reflected sadness and anger now showed fierce determination. Slowly, Emma's paternal grandfather rose. His dignified figure, glass in hand, stood like a statue. With the weight of years and the honor of his family in his voice, he declared, "Today, I feel both the deepest anger and the deepest emotion. The fact that the parents and sister did not come to my granddaughter's wedding can never be forgiven. In the name of family, there has never been such disgrace in the Wilson family's history." A heavy silence followed his words, a silence filled with both sorrow and resolve. But then Jennifer Anderson, whose presence had always combined business acumen with maternal warmth, quietly stood. "Everyone, I have a proposal," she said, her voice steady and dignified. The atmosphere tensed, all eyes turned to her. "We are now bound by new ties. Shall we forge those bonds in the place you value most on social media? Let us transform our anger and sadness toward my sister into love for our new family." One by one, the guests offered proposals that transcended old hurts. Soon, a large circle formed as all 50 guests joined hands, a perfect symbol of the new family. Jennifer's voice rang out again. "Let's combine our strength as a new family. Everyone here today is our true family. We will walk our new life together, united by heart rather than blood." At that moment, as the church bells rang out, a pure tone blessing the birth of new bonds, the guests made a solemn vow. Jennifer quietly retrieved her smartphone with determined resolve. Emma's post, a single photo taken in front of the stained glass windows with the spring sunlight behind her, was released into the social media world. Beneath the image, Emma's words read, "I'd like to introduce today's special guest, Mrs. Jennifer Anderson, owner of Anderson Mall. A family friend for 20 years who has always cared for me since I was little." The post appeared in real time on the reception screen. All the guests watched with bated breath. Earlier that morning, I had received a call from my mother, saying she would miss the wedding. The entire family had canceled on the biggest day of my life because a Hawaiian vacation seemed more fun. But now, as the post went live, the mood in the room shifted from resignation to anticipation. Before long, Mrs. Anderson rushed to my side. "We cannot let your new life begin this way," she said firmly. While my father, mother, and sister had chosen a vacation over family, she was teaching me what true adult behavior means. Within minutes of posting, reactions flooded in. From the local community, the business world, and far beyond. An emergency meeting was called among the guests. "We must decide how to proceed," Jennifer's voice echoed. A business partner then analyzed coolly. "Wilson Properties stock is falling sharply. The market is questioning Robert Wilson's management." An uncle, a lawyer, quietly outlined options. Damages for breach of wedding contract, or even a shareholder derivative suit for reputational damage. But Emma shook her head. "This isn't about money," she said softly. "All I wanted was my family's love." At those words, the venue fell silent. Her grandfather slowly stood again, his presence embodying decades of family honor. "This is the right decision," he declared, his voice heavy with pride and pain. Together, the guests formed a large circle around Emma and David. When the photographer signaled, the shutter clicked, a final symbolic photo. At that very moment, the church bells rang out, and with that photo, a final post was made, a solemn declaration signed by all 50 names. "Today, we the extended family declare complete severance of ties with Robert Wilson, Margaret Wilson, and Ashley Wilson, who have trampled on family bonds and broken the most sacred promise between the Wilson and Chan families." As soon as the post was completed, the spring sunset illuminated the stained glass windows, casting rainbow hues throughout the venue. A blessing upon the birth of our new family. Emma squeezed David's hand tightly. No more tears flowed. Her eyes now shone with unwavering determination for her new life. Outside, cherry blossom petals danced in the sunset, a farewell to old bonds and the beginning of new ones. In the months and years that followed, this wedding incident transformed from a personal heartbreak into a social phenomenon. Greenwich welcomed another spring, and while the cherry blossoms bloomed as beautifully as ever in St. Mary's Church garden, everything had changed. The incident, spread widely across social media and picked up by major outlets, became a cautionary tale. A downfall of a family addicted to superficial appearances and a powerful reminder that true family is built on the bonds of the heart. Robert Wilson lost his contract with Anderson Mall, and soon after, major partners terminated their contracts. Within 6 months, Wilson Properties stock plummeted, and under intense shareholder pressure, Robert was forced to step down. Margaret Wilson's social media empire crumbled overnight, and Ashley Wilson, once a prominent influencer, was left with barely a few hundred followers and a tarnished reputation. Yet, amidst the ruins of my old family, our new family grew stronger. Last month, David and I joyously announced our first pregnancy, a celebration embraced by over 100,000 likes and heartfelt comments. Jennifer Anderson became my godmother, a role I cherish deeply. My career at the Children's Hospital flourished, and my passion for capturing today's smile became a weekly celebration of hope for the hospital's social media. Now every week, our entire new family gathers at Jennifer Anderson's mansion. At these dinners, genuine affection flows, new family photos are taken, not for social media, but to preserve real heartfelt memories. At our first wedding anniversary mass, the pastor spoke, "True family is built by hearts that care for and support one another. Today, you have shown us the most beautiful form of family." Emma touched her belly, whispering that she wanted to teach her child what a true family looks like. David embraced her gently, and around us, our new family smiled warmly. Though our wedding incident is still discussed online, it is now a story of triumph over betrayal, a testament that true family lies not in blood ties, but in bonds forged by love. In the church garden, a new spring breeze lifted cherry blossom petals, blessing the bonds of our new family. And so, as the sun set on another peaceful evening in Greenwich, we stepped boldly into our future, united by heart and free to create a life defined by genuine love and mutual care.